Hi, this is David, owner of PlumeriaTreasure.com. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about how to care for your plumeria, but in particular during the fall and winter time period. Now, some people are not sure how to care for their plumeria in the fall and winter, and we get a lot of questions. And the three top questions we get are: one, how often should I water? Number two, how do I prepare my plumeria for winter storage? And the third question is, should I repot my plumeria or trim the roots? So we'll consider these questions. The first one is, how often should I water my plumeria in the fall and winter? Well, some individuals are not aware of the fact that plumeria do not need water once they become dormant. So, to prepare our plants for becoming dormant around September or October, or depending on where you live, once the temperatures begin to drop into the 50s at night, you should begin to reduce watering. Now, once temperatures get down into the 40s, your plumeria is likely dormant or will be soon. And at that point, you can stop watering your plant. Now, once your plumeria has become dormant, the next question is, well, how do I store my plumeria during the winter? Well, if you live in an area where temperatures get below 32 degrees at night, you need to protect your plant from freezing temperatures. So, in colder climates such as this, you'll want to bring your potted plants into, say, your garage. You could bring them into a room in your home, or you could even put them up in the attic and completely forget about them. Now, this brings up a good point, and that is, if you live in an area where temperatures will get below freezing, or possibly could, you want to make sure you pot your plants so that they can be portable and you can bring them in out of the cold, because if you try to plant them into the ground, you're likely going to lose your plumeria when it gets down below freezing. Another thing you can do to prepare your plant for winter storage is to remove all of the leaves on your plant. This does two main things. One, it reduces the stress on your plant during the winter, and more importantly, it discourages bugs and fungus from growing on your plant at that time. Now we're going to show a little video in the next slide of how you can properly remove of the leaves. Now the last point there is when your plant becomes dormant, keep in mind that your plumeria will not need any light or any water or any care whatsoever. Basically, your plant is dead for the winter. And that's why I say you can put it up in the attic and just forget about it if you'd like. I routinely put my plumeria in a closet in the garage in late November and don't pull them out until late March. Now, here's a way that you can trim the leaves on your plumeria. This plumeria plant of mine has pretty much gone dormant, now being late November. You can see there's a few yellowing or even dead leaves that just fall off. At this point, what I'm going to want to do is take a pair of shears and cut off each of the leaves so that there's none left on the plant. And you want to make your cut about 1/4 to 1/2 inch from the branch of the tree. And what will happen is in about a week or two, those little stems will turn brown and fall off. And you'll be left with nothing but 3 plumeria branches. So now our plant is ready to go for the winter. I can just bring it in and put it in a closet or in the corner of my house. So now that my plumeria is ready for the winter, a lot of people wonder, should I repot or trim the roots at this time? Well, plant maintenance is best done during the dormant period. At this point, your plumeria is in a sleep-like state and is less likely to do any damage to your plant. So this is a good time to do this type of maintenance. So it's your choice as to whether you'd like to repot or trim the root ball. So let's talk a little bit about those two options. One, a lot of people repot or transplant their plumeria into a larger pot once they see that the roots are growing out of the bottom of the pot. This pretty much tells you that the roots have filled the entire pot and there's no room left for any soil, and it's just full of a mass of roots. So repotting it by moving it into a pot that's 1 or 2 sizes bigger is certainly a good thing to do. Now, some people don't like to spend so much money on pots all the time, as Plumeria are pretty quick growers. So alternatively, you can simply trim the root ball so it's a little bit smaller, and now you can put it back in the same pot and it will have more room to grow. And that'll usually save you from buying a pot that particular year. So let me give you a couple of examples of how to do that. You can see here that in one of my plants I have the root growing out of the bottom of the pot. So that's telling me that it's probably time to either transplant this or to trim my root ball. Now in this case I'm going to go ahead and trim the root ball to show you how to do that. But just one word of caution, I would only trim the root ball once for every pot size that you go up. In other words, I would trim the roots maybe 1 year and then I would transplant it to a bigger pot the next time the roots fill up the pot. And that's because if you continue to trim the root ball year after year, then your plant will grow in size, but your root ball will stay very small. And that won't allow the plant to draw up enough water and enough nutrients as it gets bigger. So just a word of caution, maybe do that every other year. So I pulled the plant out of the pot and you can see here that pretty much it's just one big mass of roots. So this is a good candidate to be trimmed. Now what you could do is just trim the excessive roots down there at the bottom and transplant it into a bigger pot. But if you'd like to go ahead and trim the root ball and put it back into the same size, then this is how we would go about doing that. I could take a pair of shears, or for a larger plant, maybe a hacksaw, and cut off a small portion of one side of the root ball. And then I would continue to do that on each side of the plant until I've cut the root ball down by about 30 to 40%. So now I have a much smaller root ball. I can put that back into the same pot, put more soil back in, and I'm good to go for another year. So by prepping our plants during the winter, this means we're going to have a healthier plant come the spring and likely more and bigger flowers, which is what we all want from our Plumeria. So if you'd like to get some more tips on Plumeria care, see our websites, www.plumeriatreasure.com, or you can go to hawaiitop10.com and go to our plumeria_care.htm page. Also at the bottom of Hawaii Top 10 in the footer, you'll see a small link to Plumeria Care, and you can get to the page that way. So again, this is David from plumeriatreasure.com. Thank you very much for your time, and we look forward to you visiting our website. Thank you.